Have you ever wondered what happens when the most obnoxious attention seeker you know decides to take their chaos to an unimaginable level? Well, let me tell you about an ex of mine who turned my life into a whirlwind of drama, heartbreak, and danger. I had been dating her for about a year, and things finally reached a breaking point when I could no longer tolerate her constant manipulation. We broke up, and the very next day, she moved into the apartment directly below mine without any warning. She didn't even inform her 3 daughters about the move. They came home from school to find themselves in an entirely different home. Despite my anger towards her, I still cared deeply for her and felt a lot of sympathy for her kids, so I decided to stick around. For the first month, things were actually going well. I would have dinner at her place every night, help set up the new apartment, and take care of the girls. But then, one day, she suddenly shut me out. By that point, she had already managed to pull me back into her emotional web, and like a fool, I tried everything to win her affection again. I poured my time, energy, and love into her, only to be met with cold indifference. Eventually, it all came crashing down when I discovered she had been cheating on me throughout our entire relationship. When I confronted her, she broke down and promised to change, and, stupidly, I gave her another chance. What followed was a nightmare of lies, cheating, and gaslighting. She even went so far as to manipulate our mutual friends against me, accuse me of hitting her, bruise herself as evidence, and threaten to get me fired from my job. Despite everything, I was still trying to make things work until one day, she completely ghosted me. After a week of silence, I finally decided I had enough. I texted her, saying I was cutting off all contact for good. That's when things spiraled out of control. She called me hundreds of times and sent pages of text messages, threatening everything from ending her own life to harming me. That entire day was beyond chaotic. I remember trying to take my dog for a walk when she spotted me. She stumbled over, clearly drunk, and showed me her scratched up wrists. I told her that was not my responsibility and continued walking. In response, she grabbed my arm, and when I pulled away, she screamed, "Ow, don't hit me." I walked away as quickly as I could, but I was in complete shock. Later that evening, I returned to my apartment, had a beer, and laid on my bed with my dog. As I got up to turn on the shower to bathe my dog, I suddenly heard a loud bang. I looked out of my bedroom window, and to my horror, I saw her standing outside, hurling a literal log through my bathroom window. Furious, I ran downstairs and confronted her, unleashing all the anger and frustration I had been holding back. I told her to leave me alone and to never come near me again. The scene looked like something out of a chaotic, backwoods reality show. I stormed back inside, but she followed me, sobbing and clinging to my leg as I tried to go up the stairs, like a desperate child. I managed to free myself and slam the door shut. Worried for her safety and no longer sure what else to do, I called the police. They arrived and spent about half an hour in her apartment before bringing her out in handcuffs, taking her to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. I was left so shaken by the ordeal that I climbed into my truck for another beer, trying to calm down. Not 15 minutes later, my neighbor approached my truck, asking if I had seen her. Confused, I told him she had just been taken to the hospital. But he insisted that she was just there, completely unclothed, banging on my door. In complete disbelief, I realized she had somehow escaped from the hospital, running half a mile barefoot and unclothed back to my apartment. I immediately called the cops again. They returned but couldn't find her. After contacting the hospital, they discovered that after I didn't answer the door, she had run back to the hospital, still unclothed. The hospital released her the next morning, even though it had been less than 12 hours, and she was still intoxicated. She did eventually agree to leave me alone, and for a while she did. But about a month later, I saw her face on the news. She had taken her own life. And to this day, I'm haunted by the question of whether or not I could have done something differently, or if any of this was my fault.